In the endless dark of space, a group of alien traders sat inside a small ship, drifting between the stars. Their voices were low, their eyes wide and nervous, as if the void itself could hear them and punish them for the words they spoke. One of them, a thin creature with skin like silver scales, leaned forward and whispered of a world that should never be named. He spoke of Earth. The others shifted uncomfortably, their claws tapping the table. The word itself carried weight, heavy and dangerous. One trader with long antennae shook his head, quickly saying that even the sound of that name could bring trouble. He told them that Earth was not like any other world, not like the soft planets where prey was weak and easy to break, not like the cold moons where life struggled, but stayed simple. Earth was a place of storms and fire, a place where creatures fought tooth and clawware. Even the ground and sky seemed to test all who lived there. The scaled one nodded slowly. He told the others that long ago their people had found records left behind by explorers brave or foolish enough to touch Earth. Those records showed humans fighting things no other race would dare, to face monsters larger than ship, storms that ripped forests apart, fires that burned whole lands. Yet the humans did not die. They survived, and not only survived, but grew stronger. One trader with pale green eyes leaned closer. He whispered that humans did not fear death the way others did. They hunted beasts far larger than themselves. They sailed seas full of storms. They even fought each other in endless battles, always learning, always growing harder. It was said that their greatest enemy was never the outside world, but their own kind, and still they lived, still they rose again and again like fire that never goes out. The room grew colder as silence fell over the traders, each of them thinking of the stories, each of them wishing they could forget. Then suddenly a sharp alarm echoed through the chamber. The scout ship had detected something unusual. One of the crew rushed to the front panel, his voice shaking as he called the captain. He had found a signal coming from the direction of Earth. Fear spread quickly. Some shouted to turn away, to cut power, and vanished before the humans could notice. Others begged the captain to erase the reading, pretend they had never seen it. But the captain was a proud being with dark red skin and eyes like burning coal. He stood tall, and his voice was strong. He said that fear had no place among explorers. He said that if Earth was truly so dangerous, then they must see it with their own eyes. The crew froze. None dared to argue, yet unease filled every corner of the ship. They whispered among themselves, saying that no captain had ever returned from such madness. Still the order was given, and the engines roared as the ship slowly turned its nose toward the forbidden world. The stars stretched around them, the darkness thickened, and the crew felt as if the void itself was watching. Hours passed. The traders sat in silence, each glance toward the captain full of doubt. Then finally, through the great window of the ship, a shape appeared, first only a shadow among stars, then clearer and clearer, until the planet itself came into view. Earth hung there, blue and green and white, wrapped in clouds, glowing under the distant sun. At first, it looked peaceful, too peaceful, like a jewel floating in endless black. Yet the traders felt no comfort, only dread. One of them whispered that such beauty was a lie. Another said that behind those clouds waited storms that could tear apart cities. Another added that under those forests waited beasts with teeth that could snap metal. Still the captain only stared, his eyes shining with strange hunger, as if he wanted to claim the secret for himself. As they drew closer, strange readings appeared across the panels, waves of energy, signals of strange design, not like any known technology. The crew leaned in closer, their hand shaking. One whispered that perhaps it was just natural storms. Another said, no, this was something else, something alive. The captain ordered the sensors to focus on the dark side of the planet, the part hidden from the sun. The crew obeyed, though fear pressed hard on their hearts. The ship's lights cut across the blackness. Shadows stretched across the land. Strange shapes began to appear, tall mountains, deep valleys, endless oceans, all wrapped in silence, yet not empty, never empty. The sensors picked up faint movements, small at first, then larger. One of the crew gasped as the screen filled with signs of life, more than they had ever seen on any world. Millions upon millions, each pulse a beating heart, each spark a living creature. The crew could hardly believe the numbers, yet the captain's eyes grew sharper, more hungry. Then it happened. The sensors caught something different, not just the signs of animals, not just the signs of storms, but something that looked back. The ship was searching the planet, but the planet was searching them in return. Slowly, one by one, across the darkness, signals aligned with their scanners, signals shaped like human minds. The crew froze their throats dry. They could not breathe, for on the dark side of the planet, hidden in the black, their screens filled with light, and in that light were eyes, human eyes, glowing endless in number, staring back into space, staring directly at them, each pair sharp and unblinking. Fear crushed the traitors. One fell from his seat, another clutched his chest. The whispers turned into cries, and still the captain stood there silent, his red eyes wide for the first time, not with hunger, but with something else, something close to terror. The ship drifted closer, drawn by its own momentum. The crew tried to pull away, tried to break free, yet the sensors kept showing the same impossible truth. Thousands of human eyes locked on them from the darkness, as if the whole world was alive, as if the humans had always been waiting for this moment, as if they knew someone would come and dared them to approach. And in that silence, in that endless void, the alien ship realized Earth was not just a planet. Earth was a trap. In the heart of the galaxy, far from the silent orbit of Earth, a vast chamber of silver stone echoed. With angry voices, leaders of many races had gathered, their bodies different, their minds divided, yet all focused on one name, the name of Earth, the most dangerous world, whispered across the stars. The council chamber was shaped like a circle, its ceiling so high that the top vanished into mist, each seat carved for the size of its master. Some were small like nests, others giant thrones for beings of massive form. In the center burned a cold flame, a light that never dimmed. The flame symbolized truth, but tonight truth was wrapped in fear. A tall creature of crystal skin rose first, his voice sharp like breaking glass. He declared that Earth must remain hidden, no one should land there, no one should speak of it. He said humans were not only survivors, but predators of the highest kind. They were born in pain, raised in chaos, trained by storms and blood. Across the circle, another leader stood, a feathered being with eyes like golden suns. She argued that humans should not be feared, but studied. She said their strength came from struggle, and perhaps that strength could be shared. Perhaps humanity could be allies, not monsters. Shouts filled the air. Some demanded the destruction of Earth, some demanded silence, others called for cautious friendship, yet none could deny the records before them, records from ancient explorers who had barely escaped alive. Those records showed humans building fire, in storms, crossing oceans of fury, battling beasts larger than cities, and still rising stronger. An elder with metal skin and voice deep as thunder reminded the council of the old wars. He told them how once long ago humans had been touched by explorers by mistake, and how they had copied weapons with terrifying speed. He said that within one short cycle humans built fleets from scraps and turned them against the skies. He said that their hunger for knowledge was endless, and their will to win unbreakable. The chamber shook with voices until suddenly the doors burst open. A messenger stumbled inside, his breathing fast, his robes torn, as if he had run through half the galaxy to arrive, his eyes wide. He cried out that Earth was no longer only Earth, that the danger was moving, the humans were leaving their home. Silence struck the hall as if the air itself had frozen. The messenger raised a trembling hand and revealed a crystal device. Light spilled across the chamber, showing the image of a ship, a massive colony ship, made not of alien design, but of human hands, its hull scarred, as if born from fire, its engines burning brighter than stars. The council gasped. One voice whispered that it was impossible, another hissed that it was madness, yet the image spoke truth. Humans had built a ship capable of crossing the void, thousands of them locked in sleep, waiting to awake somewhere beyond their world. Panic spread. Some leaders shouted that the ship must be destroyed before it reached foreign skies. Others said to intercept and capture the humans before they learned too much. A few whispered that this was the beginning of the end. The feathered leader with golden eyes stood again, her wings trembling. She said that if humans had built such a ship with only the resources of their dangerous world, then nothing could stop them. Once they reached the stars, she said that war would not end them, hunger would not end them, fear would not end them. She begged the council to choose wisely, for this was not a simple threat, this was destiny. The elder of metal skin growled deep and heavy. He said that every empire that underestimated humans in the past had paid dearly. He told the story of predators who once ruled Earth, beasts with teeth like swords, yet humans had outlived them. He told the story of endless plagues that had spread across their lands, yet humans had survived. He told of fire falling from the sky, mountains exploding, seas rising, and still humans endured. The crystal-skinned leader struck his hand against the table, his voice sharp. He demanded that the ship be tracked, destroyed, erased before humans spread like storm fire across the stars. He said that mercy would be foolish, that weakness would be death. The chamber filled again with chaos, voices clashing, words striking like weapons. Some called for peace, others for war. The cold flame in the center flickered, shadows rising across the walls, as if even the symbol of truth feared the choice before them. Then the messenger spoke again, his voice softer, but more terrifying. He said the human ship was not lost in the void. It was not wandering without aim. It was moving with purpose. Its path was clear and direct, its course leading straight toward alien space. Gasps echoed through the chamber. One leader fell back his chair, another covered her eyes. Whispers turned to dread, for they realized the humans were not blindly leaving their world. They were coming with intent, coming toward the heart of the galaxy. The feathered leader whispered that perhaps they came seeking peace, perhaps they came only to find a new home. But the crystal leader shouted the humans never came without hunger. They never came without fire. The elder of metal said nothing, but his silence spoke louder than screams. The chamber shook as all voices rose, fear, hatred, curiosity, hope, all tangled together. Yet no agreement was found, only the truth remained. Humans were on the move, and no wall, no weapon, no secret could hide the galaxy forever. The cold flame burned brighter, as if mocking them, shadows twisting like faces in the mist. Every leader felt it in their bones, the same truth, the same dread. Earth was awake, and the children of Earth were coming. The messenger lowered his eyes, his voice a whisper carried across the silence. He said the colony ship held thousands sleeping warriors of flesh and fire, and that the moment they awoke the galaxy would tremble. The feathered leader dropped her golden gaze and spoke with quiet fear. She said, "Then we must pray they come as friends." But the crystal leader hissed sharp and cruel. He said, "No, they will come as conquerors." And the chamber fell silent again, all eyes fixed on the image of the human ship, its engines blazing across the void like a torch of war. The final words came not from a leader, not from the messenger, but from the ancient elder of metal, his voice deep and cold. He said, "Prepare yourselves, for humans are no longer bound to Earth. They are already here." And with those words, the council chamber filled with silence heavy as death. The leaders felt the weight of a galaxy shifting. The stars themselves seemed to shiver, for the age of whispers was ending and the age of humans had begun. In the black ocean of the void, the human colony ship moved like a wounded beast, yet its power was undeniable, its hull scarred with fire marks, its metal bent by storms, yet still whole, and alive, a living fortress born from struggle within the dangerous womb of Earth. From far away, alien watchers stared in disbelief. Their sensors showed impossible numbers. The ship carried thousands of humans sleeping in long metal chambers, each chamber designed with crude but clever hands, every system held together by more than perfection. And yet it worked, it moved, it endured. The council had ordered fleets to shadow it, fleets from many world ships of gold, crystal, steel, and plasma weapons, shining ready to strike. Yet none dared to attack first, for fear held them tight. They had all heard the whispers of Earth, and now the whispers seemed real, made of iron and fire before their very eyes. Inside one of those shadowing ships, a young alien officer looked upon the human vessel, his scales cold, his eyes wide. He whispered that humans should not have been able to build such a thing. They were born on a single violent world. Yet here was proof that pain could build greatness, proof that danger forged strength. The colony ship drifted silent across the stars, its engines blazing only when needed, as if conserving every breath, every spark, every drop of energy. The silence itself made the watchers uneasy, for silence in space meant thought, and thought in humans meant plans. Soon the first test came. A pirate fleet hidden in the dark had waited like hunters seeking easy prey. They had no loyalty to any council, no respect for warnings. They saw only a lumbering vessel full of sleeping meat. They came with weapons drawn, their ships moving fast, claws ready to tear into the human craft. The council ships waited to see what would happen. They did not warn, they did not aid, they only watched, hoping to learn the truth of this human threat. The pirate fleet surrounded the colony ship, shadows covering light, their voices cruel with greed. They sent a message demanding surrender. They promised quick death if the ship resisted, but no answer came, only silence, cold silence, as if the humans had not heard or worse, as if they did not care. Then it began. The pirates fired streams of fire across the hull. Explosions lit the void, but when the light faded, the ship still moved, its armor cracked, but not broken, its course unchanged. As if nothing had touched it, the pirates roared with laughter, believing victory. Close they rushed, closer, weapons glowing brighter. But the silence ended. Humans answered not with words, but with action. Hidden panels opened across the scarred hull. Crude weapons, older than most empires, yet burning with raw power. Missiles launched like arrows. Fire lanced across the void, striking pirate ships. With deadly aim, the council watchers gasped, for the crude weapons should not have been enough, yet they struck true, every time, tearing ships apart one by one. The pirates screamed, trying to regroup, but the humans adapted instantly, changing fire patterns, redirecting energy, turning damage into strategy. Every mistake corrected in seconds, every weakness exploited, until the hunters became prey. One pirate ship tried to flee, engines screaming, but the human vessel shifted its massive bulk in an unnatural way, releasing a storm of debris. Sharp metal torn from its own body hurled into the fleeing ship, tearing it apart, as if the humans had turned wounds into weapons. In minutes, the fleet that had come with hunger was gone. Silent wrecks drifting in the void, smoke and fire floating among stars, the only sound the echo of broken hulls cracking in silence. Only one escape pod survived, spinning into emptiness, until caught by a patrol from the council. They dragged it aboard, desperate to question the survivor inside. They found a pirate trembling, his body burned, his eyes wide with terror. He spoke no explanation, only one word: again and again, monsters, monsters, monsters. The council watchers trembled, for the pirates had not been weak. They had been killers of many worlds, feared across trade routes. Yet humans had broken them with crude tools and raw fire. No mercy, no pause, only survival turned into victory. Back aboard the human ship, the silence returned again. The crude weapons closed, hidden once more, as if they had never existed. The course remained steady, the engines still guiding the sleeping thousands toward their unknown destination. The council leaders who watched from afar argued again. One voice shouted that this was proof that humans were unstoppable, that even unarmed, they would always find a way. Another argued that perhaps the pirates were careless, perhaps luck had played a role, but none could shake the image of wrecks burning across the void and the sound of that broken pirate whispering, monsters. The feathered leader with golden eyes whispered to herself that perhaps humans were not just survivors, perhaps they were creators of fear itself, shaping terror as easily as others shaped stone. She said quietly that if humans learned to build with more than scraps, if they gained true knowledge, nothing would stop them, not fleets, not armies, not empires. The elder of metal skin spoke once more, his voice heavy. He said that this was only the beginning, that humans had shown only a glimpse of what Earth had forged in them. He warned that if the galaxy thought this was victory, then they had already lost. The image of the ship filled the council chamber, once again scarred, battered, wounded, yet alive, stronger than before, moving forward without pause, a symbol of what Earth had created in silence and struggle. Outside, in the void, wrecks of the pirate fleet drifted, silent graves among stars, a warning to all who would test the children of Earth, a warning carved not by words, but by fire and steel. The council chamber fell silent. At last, all voices crushed under the weight of fear, for they understood that Earth had spoken through its children, and its voice was war and survival and endless strength. And as the human ship moved further into the stars, leaving wrecks behind it, the council realized they faced a future no law could stop, no weapon could end, for humans had taken their first step into the galaxy, and the galaxy was not ready. The final whisper came from the pirate survivor, still trembling, locked in chains, whispering the word again, monsters, monsters, monsters. And though he spoke as a broken enemy, his voice carried truth that the galaxy could no longer deny. For the humans from a most dangerous planet were awake, and nothing would be the same again. The human colony ship moved deeper into the void, its course steady, its silence heavy. Every alien fleet that shadowed it felt the weight of dread, yet none dared to strike again, for the memory of shattered pirates still burned bright in the minds of all watchers. In the council chamber, voices rose again. Some demanded destruction before it was too late. Others begged for dialogue, and warning, for knowledge of these humans was still thin. The feathered leader with golden eyes spoke calmly. Though her wings trembled, she said that perhaps humans were not demons, perhaps they were desperate wanderers searching for hope in the stars. She argued that if the galaxy met them with weapons, only war would be born, and war, with such a race, could consume every world. The crystal leader hissed sharp with anger. He declared that mercy toward humans was weakness. He claimed that humans would use kindness as a weapon, as they had used storms and fire on their own world. He demanded a decision, and he demanded it fast, for the human ship was close, too close. The elder of metal skin raised one heavy arm, and the chamber fell silent, his voice deep as thunder. He said that words must be tried before fire. He said that the galaxy had faced enemies before, but never one born of chaos itself. If humans were to rise among the stars, then the first step must be spoken, not fought. So it was decided the council would send a team of diplomats, not warriors, not soldiers, but envoys with words and gifts, to meet the humans face to face for the first time. The chosen envoys traveled on a vessel of shining silver, its hull smooth, its light gentle. It carried no weapons, only knowledge, only peace. They approached the human ship with caution, every sensor scanning every movement, watching for hidden fire. At first, there was nothing. The human ship drifted silent, massive, its scars glowing faint under distant starlight. The diplomats sent message after message across waves of energy, greetings, offers, words of friendship, all returned with silence. That silence stretched heavy across every mind. Then suddenly the silence broke. A voice answered, raw and heavy, not one voice, but many voices woven together, speaking in strange rhythm. The translation engine struggled, yet the meaning became clear. The humans greeted the envoys. They welcomed the meeting. They offered no threat, at least not with words. The diplomats moved closer, docking beside the scarred giant of earth. Metal doors opened, shadows revealed figures standing tall, humans awake at last. The first sight of them shook the envoys. These beings of flesh looked fragile compared to armored aliens, their skin bare, their bodies small, yet their eyes burned with strange fire, eyes that seemed to measure every detail in a single glance, eyes that remembered storms and blood and never forgot. The envoys offered gifts, crystals of knowledge, maps of safe routes, technology of healing and growth. The humans accepted politely, their words kind, yet their gaze sharp. The diplomats spoke of peace, of trade, of unity, but as they spoke, the humans remained silent, at times watching every flicker of movement, every hidden breath. It was clear they were not just listening, they were studying. Soon the envoys noticed the humans asked many questions, but never the expected ones, not about wealth, not about beauty, not about art. They asked of engines, of defenses, of energy, weapons, of tactics. They asked how ships fought, how fleets moved, how enemies planned. The diplomats grew uneasy, yet they continued to answer, for refusal might spark anger, and anger from humans was feared above all. The feathered envoy tried to turn the talk toward peace, toward culture. She asked of earth, of oceans and forests, but the humans only smiled and said earth was beautiful and cruel, both in equal measure, and that cruelty had made them what they were. They spoke of storms that shattered cities, and yet humans rebuilt. They spoke of beasts that hunted them, and yet humans hunted back. They spoke of wars among their own kind, and yet humans still endured. The diplomats shivered at these words, for they saw no shame in the humans, only pride, quiet pride born from endless survival. One envoy tried a test. He asked if the humans could solve a puzzle hidden within a crystal device. The puzzle was meant for scholars of the council. It required days of thought. Yet within moments the humans solved it, their hands quick, their eyes sharper, their minds moving like fire. They handed back the crystal with a smile that held no warmth. The envoys whispered among themselves, fear growing, for humans learned faster than any species they had ever known. They did not only learn, they adapted. They reshaped knowledge like clay, turning it into weapon or shield. Another envoy tried again, hiding a weapon within a chamber, to see if humans would notice. Within minutes the humans paused, their eyes shifting. They walked straight to the chamber and disarmed the device. As if it were nothing, they returned it politely and spoke only one line, trust is fragile. The diplomats left the ship shaken, their hearts heavy, for they had seen not only strength, but cunning, not only cunning, but patience. Humans hid their true power, yet revealed enough to warn. When they returned to the council chamber, the feathered leader spoke, her voice trembling. She said the humans were dangerous, yes, but not mindless. They were sharp, they were fast, they were something new, something the galaxy had never faced before. She begged again for peace, for union, before war was born. But the crystal leader hissed again, his voice sharp. He said peace was a dream. Humans would take knowledge, turn it into blades, and then strike. He said the only answer was fire before it was too late. The elder of metal skin looked upon them, both his voice slow, heavy. He said no matter what the council chose, humans would choose their own path, and that path would be carved through blood or through alliance. He said the meeting was not victory nor safety, it was only the first breath of a storm. And in that chamber silence fell again, for every leader knew the truth. The galaxy had taken the first step toward humans, but the humans had taken 10 steps toward the galaxy. The envoys who had seen human eyes could not forget them, eyes that burned like storm's eyes, that carried a question not spoken aloud, eyes that asked, which will you choose, peace or war? And as the human ship drifted away, carrying its sleeping thousands, the council knew the answer would decide the fate of every star. The human ship drifted across the void, its scars glowing faint, its engines pulsing like a living heart. Every fleet that shadowed it kept distance, for fear was heavy in the silence. Yet the council demanded more knowledge. They demanded to know why humans endured what gave them such endless strength. So they sent a spy, not in a warship, not in a shining envoy craft, but in a small vessel hidden with shadows. The spy was skilled, trained to vanish into darkness, his body shaped by years of deceit, his mind sharp, and quick he moved like smoke, slipping unseen into the vast human ship. Inside the ship, the hulls were rough, built with iron and fire, every surface scarred by work, every machine patched with care, nothing smooth, nothing perfect. Yet all alive, the spy crept through shadows, his breath shallow, his heart racing. He expected alarms, but none came, for humans were awake. But not all, only a few walked the halls, guiding the ship. The rest slept in chambers sealed with cold light. The spy moved deeper until he found a chamber lined with strange devices glowing with pale blue light. He crept closer, his eyes wide. The walls were filled with records, endless records carved into crystal and metal screens, images, sounds, voices, all speaking of Earth. The spy touched one, and the chamber lit with visions. He saw humans standing against storm's winds, so fierce they bent trees like grass seas, rising in waves higher than towers. Yet humans sailed through with broken wood and torn sails. He saw humans fighting beasts with teeth like knives, with claws like blades. Yet the humans stood small against giants, and still they killed the monsters. He saw humans fighting each other, armies clashing, fire raining, cities falling. And yet again they endured, rising. Stronger, rising harder every time. The spy fell to his knees, trembling, for no race could survive such endless pain. No race could fight so much and still rise. Yet humans had done so not once, but again and again, until survival was not only habit, but nature. As he watched, more records appeared, the story of sicknesses that swept across their lands, killing millions. Yet still humans rose, building medicines from dirt and plants and fire. He saw lands of ice where cold cut flesh like knives. Yet humans built fire and shelter. He saw deserts burning with heat where no water lived. Yet humans dug and drank and endured. The spy realized with horror that Earth itself was a forge, a cruel forge that shaped humans in fire and pain, until weakness was burned away, until strength was all that remained. Then suddenly alarms roared through the ship. The spy froze, his body cold. Humans moved through the halls, voices sharp, weapons drawn. They had found him. His heart thundered as he tried to run, but a door closed before him, and shadows shifted. A human stood blocking his path. The spy trembled as he looked into those eyes, eyes dark, but burning with strange fire. The human did not strike. He only spoke words heavy and slow. The spy could not understand all, but he felt the meaning. The human said, "We see you, we know you," and then he was dragged away. The spy expected death, he expected pain, but instead the humans took him to the edge of the ship. They placed him in a chamber. They gave him water. They looked at him with calm eyes. Then one human leaned closer and whispered, "Remember, this is mercy." The chamber opened, and the spy was cast back into the void, his small vessel guided by human hands, drifting free until the council fleet found him. They pulled him aboard, his body shaking, his mind broken, his eyes wide, as he whispered again and again the same words, "This is mercy, this is mercy." When the spy was brought before the council, he fell to his knees trembling. He told them what he had seen. He told them Earth was not a world, but a weapon, a living weapon that shaped humans into creatures beyond fear. He told them that every storm, every fire, every beast was a blade sharpening human will, and that nothing in the galaxy could match it. The council chamber shook with voices. Some cried that this was proof of danger. Others whispered that this was proof of destiny. The feathered leader spoke, her voice heavy with sorrow. She said the humans did not kill the spy, though they should have by all law of survival. Yet they chose mercy. She asked what it meant, what kind of beings spared an enemy in silence, and returned him with a warning. The crystal leader hissed, sharp, his voice cold. He said it was not mercy, but message. He said humans had given the spy life only to show the council that they could end it any time. He said this was power, not kindness. The elder of metal skin spoke slowly, his voice like thunder. He said perhaps both were true. Perhaps humans knew mercy and war as one. Perhaps in them fire and water lived together, and that was why they endured. He said that if this was mercy, then the galaxy should tremble at their wrath. The chamber grew silent, each leader drowning in thought, each one unable to escape the truth. Humans were not demons, not saints. They were something else, something forged by a world that no other race could survive. They were shaped by chaos and carried chaos within. And while the council argued, the human ship moved on its path steady, its purpose unknown, thousands still sleeping inside, dreaming of a world beyond Earth, yet awake enough to let a spy go free, awake enough to speak the word mercy. The council realized with horror that if humans could offer mercy, then they could also choose when not to, and when that day came, the galaxy would burn. The spy sat alone, his hands shaking, his eyes staring into emptiness, whispering again and again, if this is mercy, then what is wrath? What is wrath? And the chamber fell into silence again, a silence deeper than fear, for all knew the truth. The humans had shown a secret not of weakness, but of choice, and choice was the greatest weapon of all. The human ship moved farther into the stars, its course steady, its silence unbroken. Yet the galaxy no longer whispered. The galaxy screamed with fear, for news of the spy had spread across every council world, and every empire listened. Some trembled, others sharpened their blades. One empire, older than most, proud and cruel, saw the fear of others and laughed. They said humans were only flesh, only children born of storms. They said humans could be crushed before they grew too strong. They said the galaxy was weak for fearing such small creatures. And so they decided to prove it. They decided to strike. This empire gathered fleets of fire, thousands of ships built of shining steel and burning plasma, their weapons bright enough to cut moons, their numbers enough to drown whole systems. They set their course for the human colony ship, their leaders hungry for victory, their voices shouting that they would end the fear with one great blow. The council begged them to stop. The feathered leader with golden eyes pleaded, saying this would not be a simple battle. This would be a lesson, and not the lesson the empire wanted. She warned that humans did not fight like others. She warned that humans turned every defeat into strength, every pain into a weapon. But the empire only laughed, their pride too heavy, their ears too deaf. So the fleets moved, shadows spreading across the void, until they surrounded the lone human vessel. Engines, glowing weapons, sharp. The humans inside woke from their chambers, their eyes heavy with sleep, yet their minds sharp, for the moment of war had come. The first strike came, fast beams of fire slicing through the void, smashing into the human ship. Explosions rippled across its hull, pieces of metal spinning away into darkness. The empire roared in victory. Too soon for the ship. Still moved, still lived, still breathed. Fire burned across its sides, yet its engines roared brighter, not weaker. The humans answered not with surrender, but with fury. Hidden weapons burst open, crude guns, missiles, sharp metal, turned into blades. The void lit with fire as the humans struck back, each shot aimed with unnatural speed, each blast finding a weak point in the shining Empire fleet. The Empire laughed again, thinking numbers would save them, but the humans adapted like storm water, bending around rocks, then returning stronger. They turned damage into traps. They used debris as cover. They shifted power from broken parts to new weapons. Every second they changed, every second they grew sharper. Ships of the Empire fell one by one, their proud captains screaming disbelief, for never had they faced prey that fought like predators. Never had they faced prey that learned faster than they could strike. The humans worked as one, their voices calm, their hands steady. Every loss answered with new tactic, every wound answered with stronger blow. When one weapon broke, they build another from scraps. When one path closed, they carve a new one with fire. The void itself seemed to bend under their will. The battle stretched long the Empire, sending wave after wave, believing numbers would break the humans. But numbers failed, for each wave became fuel for the human mind. Each trap became a lesson, each attack a new answer. Soon the Empire found its own weapons turned against them. Human minds had learned their codes, their signals, their patterns, and twisted them, until Empire ships fired upon one another, chaos spreading across their grand fleets. The council watched from afar, their voices silent, their hearts heavy. They saw the truth. The feathered leader had spoken. Humans were not strongest by weapons. Humans were strongest by change. No other race could change so fast. No other race could learn in the middle of fire and turn defeat into victory. The elder of metal skin whispered deep that this was the test, the true test of war, and the humans had passed. He said the Empire would pay for its pride. He said the galaxy must now decide whether to fear or follow. Back in the void, the Empire flagship roared forward, massive, its weapons brighter than suns. It fired all at once, tearing through space, shaking the human ship. The hull cracked, the engine screamed, yet the humans did not break. Instead, they moved closer, until they were almost touching. Then, with a roar, they released every last piece of their broken armor, as shrapnel, as storm, as blades. The flagship was pierced, torn, ripped apart from within, explosions bursting until the great ship became nothing but fire and silence. The Empire fleet trembled, their numbers still great, but their spirit broken. They had seen their leader fall. They had seen prey turn predator. They had seen the truth of Earth carve into the stars. Some fled, some froze, and those who stayed were hunted by human fire until wrecks drifted across the void like a graveyard of pride. When the smoke cleared, the human ship still stood, scarred, bleeding, metal torn, yet alive, stronger in silence. Its engines roared. It moved forward, leaving behind the wrecks, leaving behind the empire that had thought itself unbreakable, leaving behind a lesson written in fire. The council chamber filled with silence. As reports arrived, some leaders wept, others shook with anger. The crystal leader hissed that this was the end, that humans would never stop, that they must all prepare for war. The feathered leader spoke softly, that perhaps war was already lost, for no weapon, no fleet, no number could stop those who turned death itself into tool. The elder of metal skin said only one line, heavy as thunder. He said, now the galaxy knows why Earth is called the most dangerous planet, for every storm, every beast, every fire was only practice, only preparation for this. And across the stars voices rose, carrying fear and awe. The humans had faced an empire and endured. They had turned weakness into fire and fire into victory. They had shown the truth of their nature. The colony ship moved forward once again, its scars deeper, its strength sharper, carrying thousands who slept, carrying the memory of battle, carrying the proof that humans could not be broken. And as it vanished into the deep void, the galaxy trembled, for the test of war had ended and the humans had passed. The galaxy did not rest after the fall of the Empire fleet. Instead, whispers turned to storms, councils turned to arguments, and empires turned to fear. Some demanded that humans must be destroyed before they reached full strength. Others demanded peace, saying war would only make humans stronger. Still others stayed silent, trembling in shadows, waiting to see what would come next. The human colony ship drifted through the void, its hull scarred, its metal bent, yet it still moved forward steady as a predator in the dark inside. Thousands of humans slept unaware of the chaos outside, but the few who were awake knew that their journey had changed. They had drawn blood, they had shown power, they had turned fear into a weapon. On distant worlds, alien traders spoke in hushed tones, telling stories of the battle. Some said the humans were demons born of fire, others said they were gods wearing flesh. Some said they were storms given shape. Every story grew louder, every story carried weight, until even children across the stars knew the name of Earth and knew it with fear. The council gathered once more, every leader burning with questions. The feathered leader spoke first, saying war was madness, that no weapon could break a race that turned pain into fire. She warned that if humans were pushed further, the galaxy itself would bleed. The crystal leader screamed in reply, saying humans must be ended now before they spread like fire across dry fields. The elder of metal skin sat silent, his heavy frame unmoving, until the noise grew too loud. Then he spoke one line, saying the humans would not be ended, not by fleets, not by fire, not by anything. While the council fought, the humans prepared for another test, for another storm. The colony's ship entered a region of dead stars, a graveyard of suns, where wrecks of ancient ships drifted broken, their lights long gone. But signals pulsed from within, strange and cold signals, older than any empire, older than any council. The humans followed the echoes until they found a structure vast and black, a machine shaped like a world, waiting in silence. The captain of the human ship stared at the sight, his voice calm, yet heavy. He ordered the ship closer. He said knowledge was power, and power was survival. The crew obeyed, engines roaring as they approached the black machine. Alien eyes across the galaxy widened, for they too saw the signal. They too saw where the humans were going, and many feared, for they knew the machine was forbidden, ancient, and deadly. As the humans drew near, the machine awoke, lights burning across its surface, signals screaming through the void, voices old as stars themselves, speaking in tongues forgotten. The crew felt the weight of it, yet they did not turn away. Instead, they reached out their systems, linking their codes, searching through the ancient memory, and then the truth spilled out like fire. The machine was not a weapon of one empire, but a record of many long dead. It carried memories of wars fought across ages, wars that burned whole galaxies. It showed visions of races rising, falling, breaking one another, until nothing remained. It told of one truth that every empire feared to admit, the truth that survival belonged not to the strongest, but to the ones who endured, who adapted, who turned death into life and loss into strength. The humans stood in silence, watching the visions, yet they did not tremble, they did not cry. Instead, they understood, for this truth was already theirs. It was carved into their blood, carved into their storms, carved into the soil of Earth. They had lived it long before the machine had spoken it. When the visions ended, the machine sent one last signal, a warning carried across the stars. It said, beware the children of Earth, for they are the storm, they are the fire, they are the end. And the beginning, it said, they cannot be broken. It said, they will either lead or they will outlast all who try to stop them. The galaxy shook as the signal spread, worlds trembled, councils raged, armies moved. Yet in every shadow, in every corner, the same question grew. Should they fight the humans or follow them? Should they fear or bow? Should they prepare for war or prepare for change? The feathered leader whispered that perhaps humans were not the end, but the guide. Perhaps the galaxy had grown weak and soft and needed the fire of Earth to rise again. The crystal leader shrieked that such words were madness, that humans were a plague that must be burned before they consumed all. The elder of metal skin only said that choice was already too late, for the signal could not be undone, the warning could not be silenced. Back on the human ship, the captain gathered his crew, their faces scarred by battle, their voices steady. He told them the truth. He said, the galaxy now knows our name. He said, they will come with fear and fire. He said, they will come with hope and dreams. He said, we will endure both. He said, we will not stop. The humans cheered not with loud voices, but with silent eyes burning with fire, for they knew they had survived storms before, and they would survive storms again. They knew the galaxy would test them again and again, but each test was only fuel for their will. The ship left the black machine, drifting once more into the endless void, carrying the warning, carrying the fear, carrying the legend of Earth. And as they vanished into the shadows, the stars themselves seemed to whisper the same line over and over: humans from the galaxy's most dangerous planet. And somewhere far away in silence, unseen, a new fleet stirred, not with fear, but with curiosity, not with hate, but with wonder. And so the next chapter of the galaxy waited, unseen, unknown, yet certain, for where humans walked, stories always followed.